AUSEV, has been left out of the scheme. Let me get that right. Multinational Chinese companies are all getting a 12-month head start under federal government rules. Now, I don't get it. All their biggest crime is they are actually employing local people to do the job that's being done in other places around the world. I just don't understand it. Eddie joins us. Eddie, can I just get into all of this about the NVES scheme, all these acronyms, all these names? What's it trying to achieve, do you reckon?
Hi, Gary. Well, firstly, what it's trying to achieve is to promote vehicle manufacturers to bring in more fuel-efficient vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've put a tax basically on vehicles that emit over a certain level of carbon. So a company like ours, for example, we're importing big American trucks, all big V8s.
And you're refitting it for the Australian standards.
That's what we were doing, and we transitioned our whole business to bring in EV. So if there was a company that the standard or this the standard was built for, it was our company. We've switched our business from big V8s to EVs, and we've been excluded from the scheme. So what that means is we can't trade credits with all the other Chinese manufacturers that are bringing vehicles into Australia.
So you were at the table, though, early on, in early consultations. You've been dropped off at the last minute.
Yeah, well, we were at the table the whole time because we were the poster child of we were the poster child of what the scheme was for.
So you're doing what needed to be done. They said, let's get into electric vehicles. And as I said to you, I'm fairly agnostic about what's under the front of the car, right? But I've seen the way you run your business and what you've done. You've got local people, local components, putting this together. You've come up with a couple of good smarts as well, from what I can see, of how you're turning those F-150 Lightnings into Australian vehicles. Gone from left to right-hand drive. You've done all the things that have got to be done. Pretty clever business, to be honest. It's mind-blowing how good it is. But the Chinese overseas-made ones are getting an advantage over you now.
Now, effectively, they're getting a $10,000 credit for every vehicle they put on the road, which means they've obviously already got the cheaper labour overseas. Now they've got a $10,000 head start over our business. It's absolute madness. We've been penalised by multinationals are getting a head start.
So people obviously have got some sort of input into these final decisions, given that they had, and I'll make the claim, you don't have to, but they basically had your developing IP available to them as they've developed the standards. And then once they've got the standards in place, they say, see you later, flick off.
Well, I'm not going to make that exact claim, but
That's my claim.
What I will say is this: is the scheme is there to incentivize companies to transition to electric vehicles. We have done that, and we are not included.
So, okay, they will make you eligible from January 26.
No.
No?
They're giving us an assurance that they're looking to include us in the scheme in January 2026. We haven't been given the 100% all clear that we're included.
So what are they doing? They want you to fail.
It's too hard. That's what they said to us. It's too hard to include your pathway, which has Australian manufacturing component, into this scheme. That's what they said.
You're taking a foreign-made car, you're turning it into an Australian standard car.
Yep.
You've got to meet all of the grueling standards, and
Yep.
that's fair enough because they're going to be on the road here. You're doing something no one else in the world is doing, turning left to right-hand drive.
Yep.
You've got markets in other parts of the world as a result of that, because there are countries that want right-hand drive. I don't understand what you're doing wrong.
No, we're not doing anything wrong. And we're actually providing a vehicle that, let's talk about defence. Do you think defence is going to be able to take vehicles from certain foreign adversaries and use them on the defence basis? When the world transitions to EV, where are we going to get an EV that is SOCI compliant? From AUSEV.
Critical infrastructure.
Critical infrastructure. You need a vehicle that's secure. And so we've got vehicles that are secure coming from America, creating Aussie jobs, and yet we're excluded from the scheme. So now we've got a $10,000 penalty per vehicle we put on the road, effectively. From where I sit, I'd rather see, if that's the way it's going to be, what is the point of the NVES scheme? May as well get rid of it.
Well, it makes no sense. So a Chinese-made vehicle that would have Chinese tech, Chinese components, Chinese everything.
Chinese advantage on labour as well.
Yeah. You know? And meanwhile, AUSEV is doing everything it can to keep it local, even all of the various components that you've got to change.
Yep.
Is all geared from local people.
100% it's local. But the other thing is it comes from, our greatest ally, America. So we're supporting the American economy.
Hmm.
We're getting vehicles over here, and
They should put you into the tariff negotiations with Donald Trump because, you're obviously buying American kit, turning it into Australian kit.
100%, 100%. We're doing everything right, and at every corner we look, there's an obstacle put in front of us, and it would just be great. We're not looking for grants, but we're just looking for no obstacles to be put in front of us.
So, Eddie, I mean, the other thing is that you're also taking a lot of that tech that can see where a vehicle is and, the downloadable side of the computer base and all that sort of stuff. You're isolating that.
We're disconnecting it. Absolutely. We disconnect it so governments, defense, whoever is purchasing the vehicles here can be 100% certain that their data is not compromised.
But there's no guarantee that the Chinese-made kit's doing that.
Well, that all comes down to the legislation they have over there. The Chinese believe the data belongs to the country, okay? And what can you be sure of? But I think it's pretty scary when, for example, the Home Affairs Minister is driving around in a Chinese EV. What are we coming to?
Well, and no guarantee about exactly where this all fits into the bigger, broader scheme of things. Because and no offence to the Chinese, they'll have a 50 to 100-year plan. They know where this thing's going to land. Meanwhile, we can't even get a 50 to 100-day plan because you've done what you could do. You've invested in American-made tech that's the biggest selling brand in North America, the F-150. It's electric. You've got it built for Australian conditions and to Australian standards. You're employing Australian people. You're meeting the new vehicle efficiency standard. And yet you've been told, hang on, I'm going to tie at least one arm behind your back, maybe two, and make you wait to see whether something will fall off the table.
And give the credit to the competition, give them a $10,000 head start. It's just not fair. How can we compete? How can we have any industry here when we've got our arms tied behind our back?
So you'd be relying on people buying it that are buying it not on price, but in fact on that kind of compliance from a critical infrastructure point of view.
Well, that'll be the case, yes, in those markets.
So what does it do? 12-month plus? You don't really know.
Well, look, okay, the scheme came into effect the start of this year. They're counting the credits as of the middle of this year. But we have been getting no assurance. We're not included this year, and we've been told you might be included as of January 26. But we still haven't been given the go-ahead.
There's got to be another shoe hanging out there to drop, surely. There's got to be more to it than that.
Well, I'll be honest, we only got the 2026 half commitment after we sent our representation to Canberra and just have to walk and door knock to get a meeting because you can't get through to anyone. So we don't have the lobbyists budgets that these huge brands have.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? And of course, everyone wants to keep China happy. So, all the various brands that are coming out, and there's heaps of them on the road, and that's okay, I guess. But what about the Prime Minister, key ministers? You mentioned the Home Affairs ministers driving BYD.
Well, is that not a conflict or not? Well, what's going on here? We've got warships going around the country. We got the left hand not talking to the right hand. Okay, the Chinese don't even allow some of these vehicles in their secure bases. So if that's what the Chinese are doing with their own product, how do we allow this? It just shows what's the settings. It's concerning. While we have warships going around our country, we need to start prioritising Australians.
So what do you want to see from the government?
I'd like to see, for example, our pathway be added to the NVES legislation. That'd be the first thing. But the second thing, which is even bigger, the Australian government recently has changed the definition of Australian business, okay? They've now said that just having an ABN doesn't make you an Australian business. You need to be 50% Australian-owned or listed on the stock exchange. I'd like to see those settings pushed down into the state level. So with all procurement now, government procurement is actually prioritising Australian companies.
Because I think the last time we spoke, you were having difficulty getting Australian governments to actually want to buy Aussie EVs.
Yes, that's right. So obviously we mentioned last time we've transacted with the United Nations and we couldn't transact with our own governments here. For example, Q-Fleet that administers 15,000 vehicles of the Queensland fleet. We can't get them to buy one vehicle or borrow one vehicle. It's pretty silly. But if we can change the settings, because in these departments, they just follow the bouncy ball. Okay. If we change the settings up top and says, does it have Australian component? Maybe they'll look outside and go, okay, let's give an Australian company a go. Because Australian companies do not need grants. What they need is purchase orders, okay? And a purchase order is a pretty safe way to do business because you're not paying for it till you get the goods. But we can't get a purchase order because we don't fit in the system.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty shocking in any possible way. I mean, Donald Trump talks about America first. We need an Australia first agenda, is what you're saying.
Across the board, where there's nothing wrong with doing it. And I'll tell you another thing. If you talk about the federal government, now I'm not talking about political sides here. I'm just talking about the departments. One of the biggest concerns they've had of prioritising Australian businesses, they're afraid to offend the World Trade Organization. Does that matter anymore?
I hope not.
No, but does it matter anymore? Because no one is abiding by it. So what is wrong with on federal procurement saying, is this an Australian-owned company? Let's do business with them.
But you're taking an American car, you're turning it into, or American vehicle, and you're turning it into Australian.
Yep.
By the fact you've met our standards.
Yep.
You're flipping it from left to right. I keep mentioning that. You're making it available. People are buying it. I mean, how do everyday Australians buy these vehicles?
They buy them like they buy anything else. Like they might want to buy a big American truck. Now they can buy, which is available in Australia, which is remanufactured by another great company in Victoria. They buy them or they choose to buy ours and they pay for them. So individuals and private enterprise are buying these vehicles.
Government's not.
Government's not. Now, guess what? Private businesses make good financial decisions. They don't have a money tree out the back where they can go print more money when they go over budget, okay? So if privates can make a good decision, why can't the governments?
It's a question for the ages, no doubt about it. All right, well, we will keep in touch on all of this. I don't understand why the Australian government is not supporting Aussie-made EVs. That's the end of the story as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand it, Eddie.
Yeah, it's too difficult. It's easy to get the headline. We've changed the vehicle efficiency standard.
Aren't we good?
Yeah.
End of story. All right, Eddie Kocwa from BOSSCAP and Aussie V. I mean, I don't understand it. For the life of me, all these acronyms get me every time. New vehicle efficiency standard, no industry. It's crazy stuff. Good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.